jurisdictions will be farther away from that, and maybe they get more grants, they get more funding to kind of develop that along the way. And then the other side of that, I'm not sure it's exactly on point in terms of your question, but the other thing that hasn't really been mentioned here is the Academy really is interested in trying to create and trying to drive peer-based research, to drive research in these kind of areas, simply to figure out what's with this firearms analysis, or what's going on in terms of fingerprint analysis. I mean, the FBI has millions of fingerprints on file, and most local law enforcement agents can tap into that kind of database, IFAS, to develop a sense of whether or not fingerprints match under those circumstances. Well, if the analysis is not very good, why are we spending all the money along those kind of lines? Or what can we do to improve fingerprint analysis under those kind of lines? Research is going to kind of willow that out again over the course of time. And so it really is an attempt to kind of right the pendulum overall, I think, by steering things towards a kind of scientific model that will encourage standardization, that will encourage filtering out of error, that will generally improve the process overall. Yeah.
Kind of following up on that, is there any evidence that some of our Western European compatriots are doing a better job in forensics because they do tend to have more of a national top-down approach?
Yeah. Or
is that not true?
But I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. I don't know enough about that or any research on that to really know, to be honest. I mean, our system is certainly very different than many European systems in terms of justice. And I think there's some of the errors that are fraught in terms of the resourcing, in terms of the adversarial process, do kind of foment some of these errors. But I haven't seen anything that suggests if Europe has solved that or addressed those better than us. Other things? Let me just mention, I'll just quickly go through the kind of list of recommendations. I won't go through all 13. I've kind of lumped them together in terms of categories, and we've talked about most of these. Calls for certification, calls for national standards for the crime labs and forensics analysis, call for scientific research, call for education of practitioners, as well as judges, prosecutors, defense attorneys, call for more money, autonomous supervision of the crime labs, which shall be raised. And then what's been most controversial, at least in discussions, has been the call for an independent agency. What the Academy felt is the Department of Justice has a clear stake in terms of these kind of issues, and other kind of agencies like, and they mentioned NSF, the National Science Foundation, as the other extreme, really do not have the kind of opportunities or the kind of preparation to address those kind of issues. And so what the Academy calls for is the creation of a new federal agency. I'm sure we'll all be excited about that. The creation of the National Institute of Forensic Science. And actually there have been hearings of the Senate Judiciary Committee that have taken place earlier this month that have addressed some of those issues. And who knows, based upon what kind of comes out in terms of public discussion. But there seems to be a lot of support for most of these suggestions, most of these ideas. And most believe that the government will fund a number of these things. The autonomous supervision in terms of the labs and the creation of an entirely separate agency seems like pretty unlikely as things kind of gauge politically at this point, as well as anybody can guess. Anything else?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next brown bag in October will be on the topic of the future of journalism, and Scott Underwood from the Herald Bulletin will be leading our discussion that day. So we'll have an off-campus visitor for one of our brown bags. And then in November, Heather Sheets will be speaking with us about a medical topic, which escapes my mind. Endocrinology, yes, which includes like diabetes and thyroid and those kinds of things. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you all.